the spirit of community and the stories of the land. The sun rises over the ancient desert landscapes of central Australia, casting long shadows over sacred red rocks and golden sands. Among these age-old formations lives a people whose stories, songs and spirits have shaped this land for millennia, the Anangu and their extended Aboriginal communities. This story is not just about a walk or a journey, it's a passage into the living soul of Australia, a land where art is not painted for decoration but for storytelling, where footprints are not erased but etched into culture, where every rock formation has a memory, and where every person, whether elder or youth, carries a part of this sacred songline within them. This is the story of Mark, a proud member of the Mutijulu community who dedicates his life to preserving, sharing and empowering his people through culture and mentoring. For Mark, his journey is not just personal, it's generational. I wanted to help my community, he begins, his voice calm but filled with pride, by sharing what I know, by working hard, and by honoring the stories that came before us, a community rooted in culture and mentorship. Mark speaks from his heart and his home, the land surrounding Uluru, a world-renowned monolith and spiritual landmark of the Aboriginal people. Uluru, also known as Ayers Rock, rises like a giant heartbeat in the desert, its red surface glowing with the fire of countless dawns. But for Mark, Uluru is more than a tourist attraction, it's a living teacher. My role here in Mutijulu is more than just being a resident, he says. I'm a mentor, I work with the young people and I guide them, just as I was guided. Our community is strong, but like any place, we face challenges. That's why it's important to pass down knowledge to help each other grow stronger together. From mentoring in schools to leading cultural experiences for visitors, Mark ensures that every interaction becomes an opportunity for education and respect. It's about healing, about strengthening identity, and about showing that the stories of the land and the people are deeply connected. Chukurpa, the law of the land and spirit. As you begin the Mala walk, a gentle trail that winds through part of Uluru's base, you are not just walking on sand. You're stepping into Chukurpa, pronounced Chukapa, a word in Pidjanjachara language meaning dreaming or creation law. This concept doesn't just refer to mythology, it's the fundamental law that governs relationships between people, animals and the land. The Mala walk brings visitors face to face with sacred art panels, rock shelters, water holes and ancient symbols that tell the story of the Mala people, ancestral beings who once walked this path. Mark explains that Mala is not just a name, it's a cultural story that continues to live and breathe. One of the striking elements of the walk is the way animal tracks are embedded into the story. You'll see tracks on the artwork, Mark points out. There's the Malya, the hare wallaby, and you can follow its journey through the painted surfaces. There's the Papa, the wild dog or dingo, the Marla, the kangaroo, the Colour the EMU. Each of these animals is not just wildlife. They are ancestral beings, characters in the dreaming, whose actions shape the land and whose stories teach moral and cultural lessons. They represent kinship, survival, movement and balance. Visitors are encouraged to learn, not to observe passively. Every print, every shape on the rock surface is a record of something deeper, of stories passed on through generations, never written down but always remembered. The Rainbow Serpent and sacred symbols. Of all the ancestral figures, one that captures the imagination most is Wanampi, the Rainbow Serpent, referred to here as Arnhem in local dialects. The Rainbow Serpent is a powerful and sacred creator spirit who moved through the land, forming rivers, ridges and waterholes. In many Aboriginal traditions, Wanampi is both a giver and a taker of life, a guardian of sacred sites and a force of renewal. Drawn on panels along the Mala walk, the Rainbow Serpent's coiling form slithers through the rock, painted in traditional ochres and patterns. It protects the land and the people, Mark says, but we must also respect it. There are places where we do not go. There are stories we do not tell to everyone. That sense of sacred secrecy is important in Aboriginal culture. Some stories are public, shared widely for education. Others are men's business or women's business restricted to certain members of the community. And then there are the sacred secret stories which are guarded and passed down only through initiation. Respect for this structure is essential for anyone who walks the Mala Trail. Not everything is meant to be known by everyone. The echoes of the land, Kata Juta and Jungu, standing beneath Uluru, gazing up at its massive 50 to 60 meter cliffs, the traveler is reminded of human smallness, but also of connection. These aren't just stone formations, they are memory, they are story. They are country, a word Aboriginal people use to mean not just the land, but everything: people, animals, weather, spirit, and time. Learning through art and tools. Cultural workshops offered at the Uluru Kata National Park give deeper insight into the lifestyle and skills of Aboriginal ancestors. Visitors can take part in traditional dot painting sessions where community members like Christine Brumby, a respected artist and knowledge keeper, teach the meanings of symbols, but the tools also tell stories. On paintings, you'll see U-shapes, which represent people sitting, concentric circles which stand for camps or water holes, and lines which mark travel paths or animal movements. Each painting becomes a story map, not just visual art but a narrative in symbols. Muki Muki and the significance of time. Among the many beautiful words in Pidgin Jajjara and Yankuni Jajjara languages is Muki Muki, which means sunset or day's end. But it also means hope, peace, and the promise of another day. In the desert, sunset is not just a visual delight, it's a spiritual transition. It's when stories come alive by firelight. It's when elders speak and children listen. It's when the land cools down and the dreaming begins again. A living archive, the role of story and experience. When you walk the Mala track, says Mark, you are walking into a library. A storybook made of stone, sand, and sky. Every rock formation along the Mala walk has its own chapter. The towering cliffs, the hidden caves, the shaded water holes. These are not random geographical features. They are sacred sites tied to dreaming stories. For example, there is the cave where the Mala people prepared for ceremonies. Nearby, another site tells the tragic story of conflict between Mala and other ancestral beings. These stories teach lessons about law, about pride, about listening to community. And they are told not through textbooks but through site visits, song, and art. Mark believes that the best way to preserve this cultural knowledge is to keep it active. We tell the stories, we paint them, we teach the kids, we walk the trails. That's how you keep the culture alive. Cultural healing and intergenerational knowledge. But the story of Uluru is not just about creation myths, it's also about healing. Colonization, displacement, and government policies have tried to suppress Aboriginal voices for over a century. Many families were broken, languages lost, identities erased. Yet in communities like Mutijulu, the response is powerful. It's about reclaiming language, restoring ceremonies, mentoring youth, connecting with the land. Cultural healing is not just emotional, it's holistic. It strengthens community bonds, it restores pride, it gives purpose. Programs like Changu, meaning Together in Pidgin Chachara, bring together elders, artists, and educators to teach children their own history before someone else tells it for them. Through painting, bushwalks, storytelling circles, and dance, young people learn who they are. They learn they belong. When our kids know their culture, Mark explains, they walk taller, they speak stronger, they don't get lost. The significance of traditional tools and symbols. The workshops around Uluru also focus on reviving traditional tools, which are not only practical instruments but also carriers of cultural knowledge. Take the chara digging stick, used by women for centuries to collect roots and bush potatoes. It requires knowledge of soil, seasons, and plants, knowledge passed down from grandmother to granddaughter. Or the miru, a spear thrower used by men to hunt kangaroo or emu. It's not just about aim or strength. It's about understanding the movement of animals, the wind direction, and patience. Visitors to the cultural centers learn how these tools are carved, decorated, and used. But more importantly, they learn the story behind each item. For example, a boomerang isn't just a weapon, it's a ceremonial item. The future, pride, and protection. Looking ahead, the future of Mutijulu and other Aboriginal communities lies in cultural pride, self-determination, and education. Young leaders are stepping up, inspired by elders like Mark and Christine. They are blending tradition with modern tools, creating digital storytelling apps, recording oral histories, and teaching in schools. There is still struggle, but there is also hope. Every time we walk the Mala Trail, Mark reflects, we are reminded of who we are. We are reminded that this land is not just our home, it's our soul. And so, from the ancient rock of Uluru to the dreaming trails of the Mala people, the story continues. Not as a chapter that ends, but as a song that never stops.